Got another VCR to look at today. This time it's a National NV-280, and the features they list here: super still advance, so that's the pause with not very much noise on it and being able to advance one frame to the next. A 9-mode wired remote control. None of that IR stuff. Wired remote. I found it too. And it's got this cable, and there's a 2.5mm like phone jack type thing there. For how small and delicate the plug is, it's got a really huge molding on there, which is a bit strange. I think they'd want to keep that nice and short so you don't stress the connector. Anyway, this is 9 modes, and that is correct when you count that up. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, because those buttons can do the review and cue as well as rewind and fast forward. So we'll try that out if we can get this thing to go. 14-day one program timer, new 1 touch record, auto operations, aluminium chassis, quartz DD motor, direct drive for the capstan. So auto operations, pretty sure what they mean there is if you push a tape in while the power's off, it will turn the power on for you. And if the record prevention tab has been snapped off, then it will enter play mode automatically. And I think it will also rewind the tape once it reaches the end. I don't think there's any other automatic functions. Let's take a look around this, and then we'll take a look inside. It was pretty standard front-loading VHS VCR. Got the power eject. There's the plug that the connector that the little remote thing plugs into. Nice and flimsy, but that's actually a designed feature we'll take a look at. And most of the buttons are covered up, but there are a couple there. The 1-touch record, standby, channel selection for the tuner, and whether the clock or counter is showing, and the memory for the counter. Then everything else is behind this cover, which there's the transport controls with quite nice feeling switches there, and the clock and timer controls, TV VTR selection for the RF output, and then tracking and the picture softness or sharpness adjustment. And on the back, same sort of thing as what we saw last time, with the video in and out, RF in and out connectors. We'll connect up the video out now, just being hopeful that it's going to work, or at least that we can get it to do something. Let's take a look inside. Now I suspect this machine is pretty much identical inside compared to the one we looked at last time, since it's just another progression in that series, NV-250 to NV-280, and in this time they've added a few more functions with the still advance and the wired remote. That's the new exciting feature. You don't have to get up to push those buttons anymore, because that other one had no remote control at all. Pretty sure that's more or less identical. Remember that cable and the tape loading mechanism, the little heater regulator on the head assembly, the head amp, the tuner stuff, power supply. Then there's the part for the tuner controls, tuning, and then this main board which folds out. See, this one has a card in it. There's some information about service history, 94, 95, and 97. There's BT band type. B13? I don't know what that says. Band. Tire. Oh, back tension band, tire, and clean. Okay, so tire would be referring to the idler tire down there for the take up. And back tension band probably flaked off. So it has got a newer one that uses a plastic backing rather than the original ones that use that metal strip. Alright, well, let's switch it on. A very dull flashing clock on the front. Very dull. Comes on. Really? It's not going to load? Something's... I think the grease is dried out on that. Okay, yeah, I think grease is dried out on the loading mechanism, so it's struggling quite a lot. But a very weak take-up. It might be enough to get by. The back tension is good. The pinch roller it exists. Let's see if we can get this tape into it, and actual tape we can play. Alright, let's plug in the wired remote and give that a go. Pretty sure that how this works is the plug has 2 pins, so there's only 2 connections to this, and I'm pretty sure what it's doing is joining different values of resistors across those 2 wires when you press these buttons, and then that will make a voltage divider, and then that will go to an analog input on the microcontroller, and then it will use that voltage measured to determine what button you've pressed. Probably with some sort of good deep bouncing and averaging on that. Okay, let's try it. Oh yeah. Oh, the take-up is just enough. Wow. You can see the tape starting to come out there. Try the pause. The super still. Yeah, and the still advance. Well, as always, it has trouble capturing that, but on my screen it looks alright. Oh no. Oops, I just ruined the tape now. Look at that, they're going the wrong way. Somehow what's it doing? I think we might have wrecked this tape now. Yeah, the take-up's too weak. Why is it... Did I push eject? Okay. Doesn't look ideal, does it? Why does it want to keep putting the tape back in? Oh, so a lot of the tape got wrapped around something. That's a shame. That's why we use just some random old tape for checking these things. Now, we might be able to improve that a bit by wiping that roller down. Let's take a look a bit further in this thing. Now, I did find the service manual for the machine we looked at last time, which, yeah, for some reason I didn't remember that I had that before. Yeah, we looked at the NV-280. This manual also covers the NV-450, which we'll be looking at in an upcoming video. Now this is a cut down manual because there's a common mechanism used between these machines. I'm pretty sure this one is the same as well. That somewhere in this it tells you that. So it says there, NV450 and 250 use the D1 mechanical chassis. Please use the service manual D1 chassis, except for the confirmation adjustments as shown below. So there's a few things that are slightly different. It's just that. It's just the torques for take up and braking. But everything else is the same as a common D1 chassis. I'm not sure if I have that manual. I might do. There's electrical adjustments, schematics, and there'll be exploded views. All the names of the parts and the mechanism, and then exploded views for how the thing goes together. Very good. I don't know, how much of this do we need to take apart, since we already looked at more or less the exact same thing on the previous machine. So if you want a more detailed look, go take a look at the other video on the NV-250. So that's episode 107, National NV-250 VHS VCR Teardown. But we'll take a look in here anyway. Loading motor there. Same open frame style capstan motor. Probably the same base plastic molding that everything's, or chassis that everything's connected into, or mounted into. Okay, now we see what that extra stuff was for on the front. Well, assuming it uses the same molding, I remember pointing out that there's other positions for mounting control panel parts on, and this one's taking advantage of that. The other one, it was just a small bit in this area that was used. Some test points. You can see how the remote control connector is mounted on this floppy little bracket thing. So if you apply force on that connector, it's more likely to just wiggle around than damage it. And it's quite well soldered down. You can see there's big points there which go to this metal strap, which goes all the way around to the sleeve part. I think that's quite clever. Somebody thought about that and made it in a way that it's not going to be easily damaged when the cable gets yoinked on. Yeah, those nice feeling buttons are, for the transport, are just regular little tack switches. I think it's the same for everything, for all of the buttons. The VFD there. I don't think we need to take the board out because it's the same as what we saw in the other machine. Let's take off this tape loading mechanism and we'll have a look at the rollers. Ooh, there's a bit of crud in there. And I have noticed this screwdriver is wearing out, so I need to get another one. Test is whether it can undo these. Not bad. But yeah, the tip of that's getting quite worn, so it doesn't lock in quite as well as it used to on the JIS screws. I'm not sure what's going on. Why is that attached so strongly, even though we've undone the screw? It doesn't make sense, because there must be something different about this one, or it's being glued or changed in some way. It's very weird. There we go. What was up with that? Why was it so difficult to pull that out? There is something there. Something sticky. I guess that's what was sticking it down. So when I got in there with this flat screwdriver and pried at it, it broke off that stickiness. I'm not sure what that's come from. The pinch roll is in... Well, the pinch roll is okay, although it's very smooth. But the capstan has gone pretty crusty. You can see there, that's not in very good shape, because that stuff, which is residue from previous pinch rollers and tape stuff stuck on there, usually it rusts the shaft. So you can scrape it all off, but it doesn't leave the shaft in very good condition usually. Yeah, not very good. You've got to check things like these, because often the grease in there will go all hard, and then they'll get stuck in one position and not move anymore, and then you'll have trouble getting your tape out, or it's stuck in the position and then you put the tape in and then the tape doesn't get hooked around it like it's supposed to. So this thing here will be the reason why the tape got chewed up, because the tire on it is wrecked. See, also there's lots of hair stuck in it, in the clutch thing, which gives it a little bit of resistance. Yeah, there's hair and things over here too, so it needs a good clear out. Let's see if we can improve it a little bit. Yeah, what you do is undo the spring and then remove the split washer, which can be a bit tricky. Better to replace that with a new one when you put it back. And then you get this off, which seen better days. It's gone real bumpy and hard, and there's all these flakes that have come off of it. It's a little bit better. The condition of the head is not very good either. Just clean this up a little bit. And I'm going to clean this a bit. Can't really get it going good again. You've got to get a new one of these, which is not easy now. Or get just a new tire bit on there. Yeah, that one's pretty much had it. Oh, the top bit fell off of that thing. Another thing, because the plastic's old and it cracks. So I ended up ripping the top off of that little post thing there, because it's got a crack in it now. Okay, I've given it a very lightweight token cleaning, but yeah, this thing is very much on its last legs. So we put back the idler and then click back in the split washer, put that spring back on to the position that it was on before. Let's see, it hasn't been improved very much. Now, what was wrong with this thing? I think it's just very dirty, and the grease has got lots of dust in it, so it's not as effective anymore. Yeah, there's a lot of crud in there, and as well as that, the belt's gone bad. Okay, let's put it back in. Alright, let's give this thing a final test, and then we're probably done with this. Connect back the video up. Connect up the video output, and we'll give it a go. Oh, test the auto operations. You can see there the power LED. So if we snap out that thing, will it go straight into play mode? Oh. Yes, look at that, it did. Put up a bit of a fight, but it did. And yeah, the picture's okay. It's not that bad, the picture. Wired remote is still awesome. Maybe we should look inside the wired remote. It does have one screw holding it together. Well, I guess that, I don't know, it does. Yeah, something fell out. There was something rattling around inside here. I don't know what that was, a little clip or post or something. Guessing if you unclip this thing, then all the buttons are going to fall out, aren't they? Well, you can see, it's buttons and resistors, because you can see the designators there. Resistors. Yes, they do all fall out. Yeah, look at those interesting buttons that it uses. And some resistors. It looks like it's a shielded cable too. Got a braid around the outside of a central core. Now, unfortunately, one of the buttons fell in there somewhere. good, isn't it? Open up delicate parts that are going to fall apart right over a running VCR. It's not chewing the tape anymore, but it's pretty close. You can see that reel is stuttering every now and then. Oh no, the shaking of that thing. Back together. The cord strain relief thing has gone all sticky and horrible. Must be made out of some material that's now outgassing, going all gross. Does it wind back in? No. Okay, we'll have to do that by fast forwarding. That's a trick there. You see, if there's no supply reel drive left, that thing can't push hard enough. So when you push stop, see, it can't wind the tape back in, so it stays there. So if you tried to eject now, you'd end up with the tape stuck on things and damaged. So if you give it a little bit of a fast forward... Nope. Okay, yeah. If it still had some fast forward in it, yeah, you can get it to pull the tape back in, and then when you eject, it's not munted the tape. But it has anyway. There you go. You see, that's stuck now because the tape is going around that roller in there. And that's how you end up wrecking your tape. Yeah, so this thing is in need of some replacement belts and idler tire thingies. Just wanted to fast forward that a bit, past the bad bit in the tape. Oh, actually, look at that. So it's not just the idler tire that's gone bad, but that can't even spin. So maybe that's half the problem, is that belt there has gone so bad that, because it is actually doing it now, yeah, that belt there's gone so slippery, like squidgy and bad, that that's actually the reason why it's not able to rewind fast forward. So that quite crusty looking idler thing wasn't the end of the world. Just holding some moistened isopropyl alcohol on there, and you see the performance of the belt has increased. It's not going to last though. Let's see if that was able to get it to rewind now. Nope, still no rewind. Yeah. Yeah, so all the perishable parts have perished in this machine. Guess the capacitors are going as well. That'll be the next thing. Right, so that was a look at the National NV-280 front-loading VHS VCR with wired remote, 9 functions, and it's in deteriorated but possibly recoverable condition. Just needs some belts and tires replaced, and maybe it'll be good then, although the capstan is pretty dodgy looking. Anyway, it's on its last legs. Thanks for watching, and next time we'll take a look at some other old thing. Heaps more VCRs to go, so stay tuned for that. Or those.